Hey, what's up, guys? So, Andy Ruiz just shocked the world, became the heavyweight champion of the world, defeating Anthony Joshua at Madison Square Garden in New York. To say it's the upset of the century, I don't think that's an understatement. I mean, clearly it's the upset of the year in 2019, but upset of the century, we're only 19 years in. I think that's pretty clear. I think that much is clear. So, look, everybody thought that Anthony Joshua was going to win this fight, right? I myself, you guys know that I work with Boxing Monthly magazine out of the UK, which obviously UK, Anthony Joshua, biggest star over there, I get it, but myself and 11 others, 12 writers for Boxing Monthly gave our predictions for this fight. All 12 of us picked Anthony Joshua. Now, to be clear, I thought Andy Ruiz was going to win maybe 2 or 3 of the first 4 or 5 rounds, and then I thought AJ would get behind his jab, box smartly, and slowly but surely set up the knockout and get a late TKO win. That's what I saw happening. You guys who listen to my podcast, you heard me talk about that. But holy shit, didn't see this. That third round, number one, that's the round of the year so far, right? And then the way the fight ended, it really looked like Anthony Joshua just knew he was beat and had no answers and just kind of almost gave up. He was a little concussed, a little out of it. The ref gave him a chance to respond. It sounded like, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like the ref asked, do you want to continue? And AJ said, yes, I do. But the ref still stopped it anyway. So apparently the ref felt that AJ wasn't responding to his demands, whatever. So there's an immediate rematch clause. So look, guys, you're going to see a million videos out there and tweets and everything from the people that are under PBC's payroll. They're going to tell you Ruiz isn't going to rematch AJ. Now he's going to go to Wilder, and Uncle Al outplayed Eddie Hearn. Forget all that political bullshit, okay? They're going to do an immediate rematch. It's contractually set. So there's a rematch clause. AJ and Eddie Hearn both made it clear that's what's happening next. So later this year, you're going to get part 2. The question is, will Ruiz Joshua be in America? Will it be in the UK? If it's in America, where? I, for one, maybe I'm a little biased, I think it needs to go to Los Angeles. I think that in Los Angeles, at Staples, it instantly sells out Staples. And the Mexican-American fans who have held down the sport in this country now for well over probably the last couple decades or more will fill up Staples Center. And of course, some of the British fans will travel to LA. It'll be amazing. That's where the rematch needs to happen. I hope Uncle Al and the folks at PBC don't sell out and take it to Vegas. It doesn't belong there. It very well could happen, though. It certainly should not go over to the UK. Cody, what's up, man? Cody with Super Chat has a question. Beg for 80-20 Wilder split, Joshua. Yeah. Suddenly, look, so all the talk about Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, that's blown up now, right? And that's what happens when you milk a fight like this. Things can happen. But look, I want to talk about a couple of things real quick, okay? First, I want to talk about Anthony Joshua because he was the second biggest star in the sport. I don't know how this is going to affect his marketability, his star power. I think he will remain the second biggest star in the sport. But for the last year or so, I've been telling a lot of you AJ fans, Canelo was the top dog, and you're saying, nah, no way, man, AJ's the bigger guy. Well, now what do you think? Okay, clearly Canelo's the top dog, and he's solidified that position with the win over Daniel Jacobs recently, and now AJ falling down a notch. But he's still the top, number 2 brand in the sport, okay? A lot of you guys I already saw on Twitter, and I can tell you all right now, there's going to be a bunch of videos, especially from the LDBC fan channels that are, work with the PBC folks that are connected with the Watsons and whatnot. They're going to tell you AJ's done. AJ's chinny. He can't fight, blah, 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 blah. Guys, look, it's one fight, okay? Now, I'm not sitting here telling you that AJ is going to become an all-time great heavyweight, that he's going to rebound from this and go on to dominate for the rest of his career. I'm not saying that. But it's one loss. Stop overreacting to one loss. Styles make fights. Anything can happen on a given night. You saw the odds for this fight. I want to say it was 15-1 or something. Obviously, Anthony Joshua saw that. And I think it's pretty clear he took Andy Ruiz lightly. Not to take anything away from Andy Ruiz. I'll talk about him in a second. But for Anthony Joshua, look, Lennox Lewis rebounded from a loss like this. Actually, a couple losses. Worse losses than this. Vladimir Klitschko rebounded from worse losses than this. And what they did, what they got with Emmanuel Stewart, who is no longer with us, probably the greatest trainer at least of the last 50 plus years. Cody says Joshua refused to come forward for the ref. Yeah, Cody, I think that's it. He wasn't responding to the demands that the ref made, and that's why the ref stopped it. Even though verbally he responded, he did not respond physically. And guys, refs are trained. They talk to I can't say that word. Physicians, brain physicians. I'll just say that. Who tell them, look, when a fighter's concussed, when an athlete's concussed, they can respond verbally before they can respond physically. So if you're talking to a ref but you're not moving the way where he wants you to move, he's going to stop the fight. Anyway, both Lennox Lewis and Vladimir Klitschko rebounded from these early losses in their career, right? And what did they do? They fought smart. They got behind a jab. They stopped marching forward and just trying to gun for the knockout, which Anthony Joshua tried to do in this fight, and it cost him. The first 2 rounds of the fight, he was fine. The third round, he got a little greedy. He dropped Ruiz. Then he shot his wad, just like he did in the Klitschko fight. The difference was he wasn't fighting a guy in his 40s coming off a 2-year layoff. He was fighting a guy in his physical prime who, yeah, is a fat ass. Let's admit it. He's a pale, white-skinned fat ass. But he can fight his ass off. And skills will always beat muscle. All the time. We've seen it in boxing a million times. In all martial arts, right? Skills beat muscle. All the time. So anyway, I'm going to keep going back to Lennox Lewis and Vladimir Klitschko. They were able to rebound by getting smarter, using their physical tools, working behind the jab, using fundamentals, setting up their opponents, setting up their knockouts. And if the knockout didn't come, they didn't give a shit about stinking out the joint and winning a 12-round decision. Lennox Lewis made himself a top 5 all-time great fighting that way. Go back and watch some of those fights, the HBO commentary. The HBO commentary crew, Jim Lampley, Harold Lederman, Larry Merchant, they were bashing Lennox Lewis for being boring and fighting too conservatively and fighting too smartly. And people were saying he's a boring fighter, right? The same shit they said about Vladimir Klitschko. Meanwhile, Lennox Lewis is seen as a top 5 all-time great heavyweight. Vladimir Klitschko is seen as a top 10 all-time great heavyweight. They were able to correct some of the early mistakes they made, and their chin wasn't granite, but they were able to work around that with superior footwork and fundamentals. Anthony Joshua has the chance to do that. Maybe, as the A just asked, does he need a new trainer? Maybe he does. Maybe he needs a new trainer. Maybe he needs a new look. Maybe he needs to come over to America and get better sparring, especially if he comes to LA, where there's much better sparring than he's getting over in the UK. Sorry, UK fans. I love the UK fight scene. The sparring's better here. It just is. The fighters that come over here and train here do better internationally. It's a fact. So if AJ makes a change in camp or something, okay, maybe he does that. Maybe he gets behind his fundamentals and he could come back and go on to have a good career for himself. So don't make too much out of this one damn loss, guys. It's one loss. Now, let's talk about Andy Ruiz, who shocks the world. Luis Ortiz was told not to do this fight. Adam Kovnacki was told not to do this fight. Uncle Al forced them to turn down the fight because he's holding them back for Wilder. He didn't hold back Andy Ruiz. What does that say about what Uncle Al and Team Wilder and all those folks there think about Andy Ruiz? Now we know why they allowed him to go fight AJ. Because they didn't pull his ass back to fight Wilder. They like taking Wilder out to fight in LA, right? He fought out there against Tyson Fury. He might do the rematch against Luis Ortiz in LA. Fighting a white guy from the UK in LA, fighting a black Hispanic Cuban in LA makes no damn sense. Fighting Andy Ruiz in LA would have made sense. Why did they tell Ortiz to not take that deal to fight AJ? Why did they tell Kovnacki, who they're going to fight in New York, Polish New York? That makes sense. Why don't they let him fight AJ? Why did they let Andy Ruiz go fight him? Because they knew goddamn well Andy Ruiz is better than Luis Ortiz, who is overrated. I've been telling you guys, top 10 heavyweight, but top 5, no. Andy Ruiz is better than him and better than Kovnacki. So that's why. Now you start to see everything unfolding, right? Andy Ruiz is in the power position now. And if I'm him, I'm not selling out for anybody with that rematch and going back to the UK. I'm not going to Vegas and selling out for the money. I'm doing that fight in Southern California, in Los Angeles, where he will be the hometown guy. CJ Duncan just dropped in with a super chat. Cheers from the For the Taste show. CJ, what's up, man? I know I saw your post on Twitter, dude. Crazy. For the Taste show, guys. Check that show out. For the Taste. Check them out, all right? Go to Instagram, all their social media. Check it out. Good shit. Cool t-shirts, too. Kevin from Chicago, super chat. Thanks, brother. Adam Kovnacki is the next to beat these hype jobs. We'll see. We know that Wilder is going to fight Ortiz next. What I'm hearing is that it's going to be Ortiz later this year. And then if no injuries, no bumps, bruises, maybe Kovnacki at the end of this year, but it's likely for early next year. And then should all that go successful, they want the rematch with Tyson Fury. Look, the difference between Adam and Andy, that amateur pedigree, and that 12 rounds against Joseph Parker and the hand speed. But let's go back to that 12 rounds against Joseph Parker. That fight was close, man. Could have went either way, right? Could have went either way. And Parker gets the decision. I think a lot of people just forgot about Andy Ruiz after that. But look, man, that 12 rounds, he learned from it. And again, guys, how many times must I tell you? Stop paying so much attention to one loss. Forget about the heavyweight division. Let's go to 154. Julian J-Rock Williams, one loss against Charlo, right? Fights Jarrett Hurd, the #1 guy in the division. What happens? He doesn't just beat him, he beats the brakes off of Hurd, dominates him. Clearly now, J-Rock is the #1 guy at 154. Andy Ruiz has a loss to Joseph Parker, learns from that loss, gets better, improves. Doesn't just beat AJ, beats the brakes off of him. Drops him, 4 times in that fight? 4 times in that fight? Now he's the #1 guy at heavyweight. The first Mexican-American to ever hold a heavyweight title. Stop overrating these losses, guys. It's a fucking loss. Boxers lose sometimes. You can learn from a loss and get better. Guess what? The best pound-for-pound fighter in the world right now has a loss on the record, Vasily Lomachenko. Some of you can't let it go. That loss made him better. Look at what he did after that loss to Salido in the next fight with Gary Russell Jr. He beat the shit out of him, right? Andy Ruiz learned from his loss to Joseph Parker. J-Rock Williams learned from his loss to Charlo. How many times do you need to see it before you understand? A loss don't mean shit, all right? All right, guys, we have some more super chat. Let's see. Devin Cruz, super chat. Thank you very much. You think Ruiz would beat Wilder? Yes. Based on what I saw tonight, I like Ruiz to beat Wilder. Yes. I'm saying it right now. Yes. This Andy Ruiz beats the Deontay Wilder that we saw fight Ortiz and Brazil. And by the way, I got to have a little ha-ha laugh at you moment for all you tough guys on Twitter, here on YouTube, in the comments section on my podcast and other places, that #1 said Brazil and Ruiz are on the same level. You're fucking morons, because clearly they're not. But 2, that Andy Ruiz would give a shittier performance than Jarrell Big Baby Miller when I told you he'd be more competitive, and his resume smokes Jarrell Big Baby Miller's. I was telling you that, Steve Kim was telling you that, others were telling you that, and you guys dissed us and laughed at us. Who the fuck's laughing now? Again, all yous are gonna disappear now. That's what you do. Southside Tone, thank you very much for the super chat pledge. That's a $100 million out the window now for Wilder versus Joshua. Shake my head. Yes, sir. That's how it works, guys. If you try to build these fights up too long, this is what happens. Canelo Golovkin. And again, I got so much shit on Twitter this week for talking about Canelo Alvarez doing year-round drug testing. And people shit down my throat. You can't say anything positive about Canelo Alvarez, but say what you will. He waited out Gennady Golovkin. So did Golden Boy, right? They waited out Gennady till he got older. Yeah, I get it, guys. I get all the politics. I still think Golovkin won the first fight. I scored the second fight for Golovkin, but you can make a case. It could go either way. Bottom line, they actually fucking fought when the fight mattered. And now they're going to do a third fight this year. Look at these idiots that are controlling the careers of Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Look what they've done. They've blown $100 million. There you go. Deontay Wilder could have been fighting Anthony Joshua tonight and getting the first of a chunk of $100 million. Instead, he's going to fight Luis Ortiz in LA for a pay-per-view that might do 250,000 buys. Maybe he gets 10 million for that fight. It is what it is. And now Anthony Joshua is still a huge brand, but he's in a rebuilding process. Cody, thank you again for the super chat, brother. You said you'd call me Nostradamus if Ruiz won. Go on. Okay, everyone, shut up for a second. Cody 8804, he called it. He said Ruiz was going to win this fight, and I have to give you tremendous credit, brother. You called this shit. You got it. Look, I thought Ruiz would put up a better fight than Jarrell Big Baby Miller. I thought he had a better resume than him. I certainly thought he was much better than Dominic Breazeale. I did not think he'd win this fight. I thought he'd win 2-3 rounds at max and then get stopped late. I did think there was an outside chance it could go the distance if Andy got cute and just tried to survive in there and pulled a Mikey Garcia against Errol Spence, that kind of a thing. But dude, you called it. So props to you, brother. You called it. I can't take nothing from you. Sarah LeChuck says, I told you. All right, you called it too. You and Miguel called it. Okay, look, there's a few of you guys who called it. Cool. This was an awesome upset. I got to really dissect this one and watch it a couple times and think about where this puts the heavyweight division, the boxing landscape as a whole, and how the rematch looks. Because they are going to rematch immediately next. Regardless of what you guys hear from all the videos that are coming this week, they are going to do a rematch next. And it's like, do you just go with Ruiz? Or does AJ learn from this fight, stick behind his stick, and just fight smart? Man, if AJ just stayed back and just stayed behind the jab, this is an easy fight. But he got stupid. I'm starting to see parallels between Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko. A young AJ and a young Vladimir Klitschko, even though he's not that young. Young Vladimir Klitschko, too muscular, too aggressive, simply did not have the defensive fundamentals, did not fight smart. And you're seeing that with AJ. And he got out there tonight, and I think he read the press clippings, he saw the odds, and you also saw what Wilder did to Breazeale and felt pressure. First fight in America, all that pressure, last minute replacement, right? All that combined, and he went out there and tried to just go for a knockout. And he thought he had it in the third round. He got clipped, and Ruiz stayed on his ass. He clipped him in the third round, Ruiz did, but he dropped him twice in that round. But in the fourth round, he pulled back. But fifth, sixth round, he got right back on him. And holy shit, he just learned from that loss against Joseph Parker. And I think he learned from watching the Vladimir Klitschko fight, boom, right here, watching that fight when Vitaly Klitschko in the corner told Vladimir, lay off, just box him, That was the worst advice Vitaly could have ever given Vladimir once he had AJ hurt. He should have stayed right on him. But man, just to see Ruiz put it all together and score this upset, how awesome. Joel Morgan, thank you so much for the super chat, Joel. He asked, should AJ ask Klitschko to help with the next camp? I think that'd be smart. I think Jonathan Banks and especially Vladimir Klitschko would be a smart place to go. What's so interesting and what's coming into play here is, remember guys, the buildup between Klitschko and Joshua. Remember what Vlad was like, he was saying, when I beat AJ, I'm going to give him advice on how to come back, right? Now, he didn't beat him, but somebody else has. And now AJ's in a place where he's been humbled. I think he started to believe the hype a little bit too much. I think clearly his ego got too big. You guys saw some of the personal messages that he was sending about the superior black race and all this racial crap that he was sending. And I think maybe he went in there against this white-skinned fat guy of Mexican heritage, and that played into his mind a little bit. I think that he got humbled tonight. If he accepts that humbling and goes to somebody like Vladimir Klitschko, who's been there before, or Lennox Lewis, another UK guy, maybe he'd prefer to go to Lennox because he's a black guy and he seems to have some racial stuff there. Maybe that's where he wants to go. But one of those guys, or both of them, to get some advice, I think that would help him. Joel, I think that's a smart idea, man. I think that, look, AJ absolutely got humbled tonight, and he's got to take this the right way and try to get better. Ruiz needs to take this and follow up. He can't stop here. He needs to keep building up. And I think that now that Ruiz has all this momentum, man, take this and take it to the next level. Build upon what you started. He weighed 268 pounds for this fight. I want to see him weigh 262 for the rematch. You know what I'm saying? I want to see him build upon this. But man, I'm just looking at all you guys' comments. Yeah, Lennox Lewis hates Joshua. Yeah, you're right. Lennox Lewis, not a big fan of Anthony Joshua for some of the reasons I just talked about, which I won't go deep down that political, deep dive there. But Lennox Lewis doesn't like some of the things with AJ, the ego and all that kind of stuff. So, maybe AJ should go consult with Vladimir Klitschko. James Tucker talks about the Joshua chin. Look, a lot's going to be made about that chin. Again, Lennox Lewis got chinny. Vladimir Klitschko got chinny. I bring them up because they're heavyweights. There were other fighters in other divisions that made good careers that were a little chinny. I'm losing my voice. But AJ could rebound from this. If you're chinny, but you got long-ass arms, you got height, you got reach, don't get hit on the chin. Stay back here. When you get close to your opponent, put your head on their shoulder, right? Get over to the side. Don't stay right in the middle. AJ just stood in front of Ruiz, just stood there. And Ruiz smartly started throwing hooks and uppercuts, 45s, right there. Joshua was wide open for it. So if he learns to stay back and then get over to this side, get over to that side. I remember one of my coaches used to always say, think of it as a clock, right? Think of it as a clock when you're fighting your opponent. You want your head at 3 o'clock. You want your head at 6 o'clock. Or I'm sorry, 9 o'clock. You want your head at 6 o'clock. You never want your head at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock is where you get knocked out. 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And we used to run drills where he'd be like, 9, 3, 6, 6, 9, 3, right? And he was teaching us, boom, get our head. You never want your head at 12. If you look at AJ, he's so muscular and stiff. He looks impressive. He's a wet dream for Max Kellerman, but he's so stiff. His head's always at 12 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a shorter guy punching up, Carlos Takam had some success with that in their fight, right? Because he's a short little guy. He's kind of the same height as Andy Ruiz, and he had some success. He didn't let his hands go as much as Andy did, but punching up at that target with that shit right there at 12 o'clock. There you go. It's not rocket science. Anyway, guys, yeah, this is my immediate reaction. I mean, this is why we watch the fights. This is why we watch boxing. For all the bullshit, for all the shitty scorecards, for all the politics, for all the marinating, for all the crap that we deal with. Finally, you see something like this and you're like, holy shit, this is like out of a movie. This is literally like out of the script of Rocky. This is how many times have you seen a sports movie where something like this happened? It just played out in front of us on DAZN. There you go. One of you guys just mentioned Katie Taylor got exposed. I didn't see that entire fight with Delphine Pearson, but I hear that she got robbed. I hear that Katie Taylor should not have got the decision she did. I gotta go back and watch the whole damn fight. But look, I told you guys that was the biggest, best female fight of the year, and that both of those girls were rated in the top 10 pound for pound. Well, Clarissa Shields fought Christina Hammer. Hammer's just not that good. And you saw that. Pearson, however you say her name, is very, very good. So, you know, I'm not surprised. You know, I'm sure they're going to do a rematch too. But obviously, Katie Taylor, not ready for Amanda Serrano, not ready for Cecilia Brækhus. Needs to fight Pearson. So Taylor Pearson, look, I took shit this week, including from Clarissa Shields herself and all these internet tough guy heroes who jumped down my throat when I said Taylor Pearson was the best female fight of the year, the biggest female fight of the year. I stood by that. I think Shields Hammer is right next to it, but look what played out. Look what we saw. You know what I'm saying? We saw the best fight of the year for female boxing. So there you go. And again, I need to go back and watch the whole fight, but it looked like Pearson probably pulled that off, and Taylor got away with one there. So, yeah, business of boxing. There you go. You see something like that, but then you see what happened in the main event. Holy shit. It makes it all worth it, right? So, okay, did I cover all the bases here? Anthony Joshua's career is not over. He needs to drop some muscle. He needs to stop lifting weights. He needs to only do boxing drills and training, sparring and boxing drills. One of the first things Emmanuel Stewart did when he got with Vladimir Klitschko is he was like, put down these weights. Get all these barbells and dumbbells out of here. We're done with that shit. All we're going to do in camp is boxing drills. You're going to hit the mitts and you're going to spar. That's it. And you're going to swim. That's it. And what happened? Vladimir Klitschko dominated the division for 10 years. So with AJ, I think that get off the weights and just get to boxing. Just heavy bag, double end bag, speed. He doesn't even need a damn speed bag. He needs to spar more, do more sparring, swimming, slim down, dude. The stiffness is killing you. It's killing you. Andy Ruiz is fat and jiggly, but he's loose. And those hands can go at any damn angle. This shit looks pretty. Straight shots look pretty, but sometimes it's this shit from way over here that does something. And that's what Andy Ruiz proved tonight. So, A. Sanchez says AJ has no chin. Again, bro, you can't say he has no chin, okay? He didn't get slept like Dominic Breazeale. He got dropped. But he can rebound from this. I think we need to talk more about AJ. Or I'm sorry, we need to talk more about Andy Ruiz, AR. They both have the same first initial. Andy Ruiz, I just think that this is an amazing story, especially coming from his body type. And again, I love, it's just like him and J-Rock, guys with a loss that were written off because of that loss. Not only winning, but being the best guy in their division. You know, you're going to see a lot of political stuff in the next week or two, guys. On Twitter, on YouTube, a lot of the videos you're going to see will have a political slant to it. And people are going to be spinning this a certain way because they're under a certain umbrella and they're trying to help promote a certain heavyweight who fights under that umbrella. This fight tonight with AJ didn't do anything to move Wilder up in the ratings. Andy Ruiz is the #1 heavyweight right now. In fact, I think Andy Ruiz is number 1. If you want to put Tyson Fury 2, Deontay Wilder 3, and Anthony Joshua 4, okay. But honestly, I still rate AJ above Wilder. Just because he lost to Ruiz doesn't mean that Wilder moved above him. I just don't see that. But look, if you rate Wilder and Fury above AJ right now, that's fine. I ain't mad at you. But all things considered, okay, this shakes everything up. This shakes up the whole heavyweight division. Yes, but this is what we need. We need some of these guys to be knocked down off their pedestal so that they're forced to fight and prove themselves. We're going to find out if AJ's for real. They're going to do a rematch later this year. AJ could very well come back, jab the shit out of Ruiz for 12 rounds and win a decision, or he could get it further exposed to get stopped by Ruiz again and go away. And then we know he was a pretender the whole time. So that remains to be seen, guys. In the meantime, slow down a bit. Don't knock the guy for one loss totally, but celebrate what Ruiz did because it's a huge accomplishment and it's historic. I believe now, I saw one of you guys on Twitter say, fighters of Mexican heritage, whether they're American or from Mexico or whatever, have won titles now in all divisions in boxing. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. And it shows that fighters of Mexican heritage, regardless of their race, regardless of their nationality, where they're born, fighters of Mexican heritage really are the lifeblood, you know, the heartbeat of boxing. They really truly are. I think that's, you can't deny that anymore. And I remember years ago telling people, we're going to have a heavyweight titleist one day of Mexican heritage, and we're going to have a heavyweight titleist of Chinese heritage within the next 20 years. And I remember people laughing at me. Well, we got one down. We got one down. So I still think there's going to be a Chinese heavyweight titleist in the next 10, 15 years. It's coming. There's just too many damn people in China. It's going to happen at some point. But okay, guys, it's past midnight here on the East Coast. I hope you enjoyed my immediate reaction. Look, this literally is immediate. This literally is immediate right after the fight. So obviously, there's some things I'm going to process more and think about more and talk about and clear up on the neutral corner Monday night. So, you know, don't take everything as gospel. Of course, there's things I'm still processing. It just happened. But when you see an upset like that, I have to come talk about it. It's an amazing thing. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I see you guys having fun there in the chat. That's what it's all about. This is why they fight the fights. This is why we watch the fights.